together, and it doesn't pay off because we as a people have not obeyed what God has asked us to do. We say that we are too good for those things that God has spoken to us about. The things of the sabbatical year or the year of Jubilee, that we don't forgive anymore. We don't forgive debts anymore. And because we don't forgive debts, we allow debts to be upon debts and interest upon interest, to the point it is impossible for us to get out from underneath the weight of our debt indebtedness. If we would get to the point and to forgive our debts and forgive those who have indebted to us and let us all start over again, then we could have something different. But now what's going to happen is God is going to allow the institution that they'll probably have one world currency, and it will be all regulated by some source, and we'll all be under the same regiment of leadership. We as a people have allowed our country to go down the tubes. You reach in your pocket and you pull out one of these, and this is what's so valuable in our country today. The dollar is so valuable. But on the very face of it says it's a Federal Reserve note. In other words, there's nothing stands behind this other than borrowed money. I mean, this is of no value. But what we do, we put such stake, our stake of our lives are so indebted into this system that we're effectively no good. Used to, they would give you coins that may have some materialistic value, like, what's that when it starts with a G and ends with a D? Oh, gold. The one that nobody talks about anymore. We had coins that had gold in them. And so when the king wanted to devaluate the work of the people, ask him to do the same work but devalue what they got, he would take less gold out of it. And now that we have this system that's been in place, we as a people have chosen this is our value, and there's nothing behind it. It is worth nothing other than this paper that it's written on. And the penny is worth more than the penny now because it has real material in it. And we're selling our souls for this. God says here, you treat me like a master, but I'm not a master to you. If we observed God like we observe our employer, he would get more attention than what he's getting. We would not treat our employer like we treat God. He goes on to say, I am honored all over the world. And there are people who know how to worship me all over the world, who honor me by bringing their best to me. They're saying it everywhere. God is greater. This God of the angel armies. All except you. Instead of honoring me, you profane me. You profane me when you say worship is not important. And what we bring to worship is not of no account. And when you say, I'm bored, this doesn't do anything for me, you act so superior, sticking your noses in the air, act superior to me, God of the angel army. And when you do offer something to me, it's a hand-me-down, or it's broken, or it's useless. Do you think I'm going to accept it? This is God speaking to you. Or curse on the people who make a big show of doing something great for me. An expensive sacrifice, say, and then at the last minute bring me something puny and worthless. I'm a great king, God of the angel army, honored far and wide, and I'm not put up with it. Whoa, I wouldn't want God speaking to me that way. I mean, thank God we live in grace, right? Yeah, we live in grace. But doesn't he deserve so much more than what we're giving him? So much more honor and respect way in which we worship and the way that we walk. When I was in college, I heard that on Saturday night, everybody went out and sowed their wild oats. And then on Sunday, they prayed for a crop failure. Think about it. They go out and sow their wild oats on Saturday, and Sunday they ask for a crop failure. In preparing for this lesson, I got to thinking, God, what's that going to do? I mean, given this kind of lesson, what's that going to do for my little congregation? And I just kind of felt like if it doesn't start with us, where does it start? I mean, why doesn't some big church do this? If it doesn't start with each one of us, it doesn't start anywhere. Because this is not really one of those cheery, yeehaw kind of messages that we leave and think everything is fantastic. This is one of those messages where we evaluate and look at our lives and see what in the world is going on. This is not where we make New Year resolutions and wonder next year, what were those resolutions that we made again? God's saying, you're my favorite. The reason that God has come to the Gentiles is because the Jews have forgotten that they were supposed to do something because they were the favorites. When you go to Israel, you'll see these folks walking around with these very pious attitudes and these black hats, and they've got their hair all twined down to their shoulders, and they go through all the acts. And then they get on an airplane, and when they're getting off the airplane, they're stealing everything they can get off the airplane. The blankets, the silverware, the plates, whatever they can carry off, they're stealing. And I'm going, you're the favorite? God's favorite? And He's come to us as Gentiles, and what's the difference in us? Sometimes there's not much difference. We're in it for what we can get out of it. We hope that when we go to church that we can get God's attention. See, I was there in church. Did you see me, God? I wore my best for you. I took a shower and combed my hair and brushed my teeth. I put a little perfume on. I'm really good for you today, God. Thank you for not looking at my heart. And about that time you hear, I live in there. I live in your heart. There's a scripture in 2 Chronicles, the 7th chapter, the 12th verse. And in it, he's talking to Solomon. If you do all these things, if you fall away from me, you're going to have drought, and you're going to have pestilence, and you're going to do all these things. But when you look back to this temple, I'm going to be there. And he says, this temple is a house, my house of sacrifice. This temple is my house of sacrifice. And as I read